You no longer have to experience yourself in a linear fashion. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to say that again, you all. You no longer have to experience yourself in a linear fashion. I promise you all, this is the best news you have heard all year. And as soon as you get what I'm saying, as soon as it becomes clear what I mean by experiencing yourself in a linear fashion, you will understand why this is the best news you've heard all year. Before we get into the full topic, you all, which is meet your multidimensional self, let's talk about what the term linear means, okay? I'm saying you no longer have to experience yourself in a linear fashion, and linear means extending along a straight line, okay? The definition of the word linear is extending along a straight line, okay? So we're talking about something that happens sequentially and stage after stage, with one stage building upon another, okay? Now, I'm saying you no longer have to experience yourself in a linear fashion, and I'm also using that word fashion very intentionally. Greetings, Zena Electra. Thank you for being a part of the conversation tonight. I want you all to, as you come in the room, say hello. Let me know who I have in the room tonight. But I'm using the word fashion very intentionally, because the way that we view ourselves has been very stylized. We've been conditioned to see ourselves in a very limited way, and it is based on what is trending, okay? Greetings, Dabney. Greetings, Angela Hoke. Greetings, greetings, greetings. So nice to have you all in the room tonight. You guys, listen. You no longer have to experience yourself in this linear fashion with one stage stacking on top of another, and who you are today is a direct result of what happened to you yesterday and the day before and the day before, okay? We're going to talk about this, but before I get into it, I want to introduce myself for those who don't know. My name is Pangea Northstar. I'm an energy healer. I'm a teacher. I'm a writer. I love to share information about your spiritual journey for the purposes of improving your life, right? I love to talk to you about how to attract love energy into your life for the purposes of healing, right? For the purposes of expansion, right? I love to talk about these things, and we're always in some form. We're talking about how to attract love energy into your life, but we're also talking about self-mastery, okay? We're going to get into a deep conversation tonight about why is it? What do I mean when I'm talking about experiencing yourself in a linear fashion, okay? So if you all have followed this channel for any length of time, you will notice that I am constantly inviting you to tap into, to connect with and heal different versions of yourself, okay? That is the trend on my channel, okay? To tap into and heal different versions of yourself. We're talking about self-mastery, okay? This is where, and this is where we have to kind of make a decision, you all, okay? Because spirituality is trending, all right? And there comes a point when we have to make a decision. Are we talking about this just for entertainment? Or are we talking about this with the intention of healing, with the intention of mastering your energies, right? Of affecting a change in your own life and building a new world, okay? And if you have made the decision that, hey, this is more than entertainment for me, I want to do some self-healing, I want to do some self-mastery, give me some hearts in the chat right now, y'all, okay? And if it's entertaining to you, that's fine. There are plenty of things out here that are for entertainment, okay? I mean, people are talking about aliens and astral travel and psychic abilities, remote viewing, by location. Like, this stuff, it is exciting. It's exciting, and it can be very entertaining, right? But on this channel, we're always talking about healing. we're always talking about self mastery in some form. So if that's okay with you, give me some hearts in the chat. Give me some hearts in the chat if that is okay with you. Okay, it's all for a purpose, because it's like, hey, if we have all this information and we can't make our lives any better with it, what's the point? What is the point? That's how I feel about it, right? So, you all, since my very first YouTube video, which was Who is Your Highest Self? Great video. Go check it out. It's a little long. It's a little long because I'm always working to make it more concise for you. But ever since my very first YouTube video, I've been talking about engaging with different aspects of yourself for healing and self-mastery, okay? So in that video, we talked about utilizing the energy of your future self to reach back and connect with and heal and give answers to past versions of yourself, okay? Very good video. Good message if I do say so myself. Okay. If you've seen that video, give me some hearts in the chat. Okay. We've examined how to block the energy, how blocked energy from your past traumas affect your current romantic relationships, family relationships, friendships. We've looked at that. And more recently, we've also shared how to begin quantum healing, okay? Quantum healing for yourself, okay? So the purpose of the quantum healing that we're talking about is to turn past versions of yourself that are currently blocking your energy, blocking your progress, disconnecting you from yourself. How to turn those past versions of yourself who are stuck in old trauma into collaborators for manifestation. Okay, and that video was it's called Stop the Drain, Heal Quantum Versions of Yourself. Okay, but in that last video, it started to take us into the field of self-mastery. Yes, I see all the hearts. I see the clapping in the chat. Thank you all so much for the support. Like that's what we talk about here, right? Self-mastery. It's always the goal, So when you begin healing, cleansing, and merging fractured aspects of your personality, when you begin connecting with abandoned elements of your gifting, long forgotten versions of you from the past, bringing them into loving submission to benefit your mission for today, you now have a clear path, you have clear access to future versions of yourself, right? Because when you bring those versions of yourself into loving submission, that's a hot button word. You gotta be careful with that word, because there's old wounding, from religious hurts, right? Religious dogma, right? That talk about submission in a way that is not loving. Okay. But once you do that, you are no longer confused about who and what you are today. Right? So you can now call upon any aspect of yourself that you need to access to accomplish any goal for today. Okay? We're talking about bringing in love, acceptance, forgiveness, and healing for fractured versions of your personality, merging those aspects of your personality to be able to benefit yourself today, to become more present with yourself. Okay. And I just want to spend a little bit of time on this so that we understand exactly where we're going with this. Greetings, Shanae. Okay. So when you heal those old versions of yourself, your 9-year-old self that got, bullied on the playground or abandoned by someone who was supposed to protect you, right? When you heal that version of yourself, that, got embarrassed on the school play and, everybody laughed at you. So then you never, showed your talent again. You never sang again. You never played the piano again, right? You never auditioned or tried out for anything again. These old versions of yourself, when you abandon those versions of yourself, y'all, what also happens when you stop being that version of yourself, because you're like, you know what? I'm not going to be that person anymore, because that version of me could not protect me. That version of me could not perform. That version of me, people didn't love that version of me. When you abandon that old version of yourself, not only do you lose that, maybe that vulnerability of that personality that you're trying to get rid of, but you also lose the gifts and the perspective of that version of yourself. You are no longer benefiting from the positive things from that version of yourself. Your 7-year-old self, your 9-year-old self, your 16-year-old self had a certain wisdom and confidence that you lost when you abandoned that part of yourself. If that makes sense, give me some fire in the chat. Give me some fire in the chat if that makes sense to you. You can't just drop off, oh, I'm no longer going to be that vulnerable, innocent person anymore. I'm going to drop the naivete that I had. And without also losing access to the courage and the confidence and the zest, the excitement and curiosity about the world around you that younger version of yourself also had. We don't get to pick and choose like that. Okay, that's not how it works. Okay, when you're acting out of trauma and you're hiding that version of yourself, that's what I mean by abandonment. Okay, you can't you can't just pick and choose when you are working out of trauma. But when you're doing this work and you are going back and searching and finding that aspect of yourself out of love, dropping the fear, dropping the shame, dropping the guilt, right? When you're doing it that way, now you do have the opportunity to benefit from all a well-rounded version of yourself. You can go back and pick up that perspective because you also lost the gifting of that aspect of your personality. Okay. Thank you for the hearts and the fire in the chat. Angela says, I'm so slow finding the emojis. I relate totally. Me too. Me too. So you all, this is the benefit of self-mastery, right? This is the benefit of healing these old aspects of yourself. So when you go back and scoop up those abandoned aspects of yourself, you now are picking up that gifting that you had left behind, okay? And you're now able to utilize that, okay? So this is super important, you all, because listen, life is lifing. Life is lifing, right? And you came here when you were born. You had all the personality traits. You had all of the divine gifting, all of the talents, everything that was necessary for your journey and your mission was within you when you were born. Okay, I believe this with all of my heart. Everything you needed for your mission was in your soul backpack. Okay, when you were prepared for this journey. Okay, if you can remember being a child at age 7 or younger and being way more courageous, way more bold, having a deeper understanding than other people around you, having core aspects of your personality already in place, give me some fire in the chat. If that makes sense to you, if that resonates for you, Zena Electra says big facts. Big facts, right? Yes. Yes, Zena. We came here with everything that is needed. We were lacking nothing. But from birth to around age 7, and we've talked about the significance of the number 7, if you can remember any of the things that the number 7 represents, Put some of those words in the chat for me. One of them is transformation. Okay. Yes. Angie says, so true. Yes. Okay. So the number 7 is so significant. And this is just, showing again the significance of the number 7. But by age 7, like you are who you are in terms of as certain aspects of your soul's journey. Yes. Yes. Zena says innocence. Yes. Yes, that number does represents innocence. So you guys, listen. What happens is that by age 7, for most of us, there's been a certain amount of, I'm gonna say, dirt thrown over your fire. Okay. And what I mean is that we hear all these no's. No, you can't. No, you won't. No, you're not. Right? We are infiltrated by the fears and disappointments of the adults around us. Okay? So those things have crept in and begin to dim our light. Okay? And of course, things happen to you at other, ages beyond age 7, but we're just using that for an example right now. Okay? Yes, Angie says those lower chakras are formed and it informs everything. Absolutely. By age 7, right? So as these different things happen to you over stages of your life, your personality begins to fracture. Okay? So now what we're doing through our healing journey is going back and beginning to merge all of these fractured aspects of ourselves that were, divided, damaged, disconnected through trauma. But when you bring those aspects of yourself back together, you are now able to call upon any aspect of yourself that is needed to, to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish today. Let's look at some comments. Angie says, yes, one of the things you hear is that's a waste of time. Yes, that's some messaging that, that we get from our parents. Like, say, if you're an artist, but I heard this from someone in my family recently. Oh, my daughter's an awesome artist. She can do this, she can do that, she can paint, she can draw, she can write. I said, oh, really? Is that what she wants to go to school for? Oh no, she's going to like medical school or engineering school or something like that, because artists don't make any money. She's clear on that. And I'm proud of her that she's clear on that. Like, we are encouraged to abandon whatever our true passion is. That's a waste of time if it doesn't make money. Right? We're taught to only value what makes money. And that's dangerous, you guys. That's very dangerous. It's damaging and it's sad. Right? But it was done to most of us. There's the best, the most awesome, amazing talents on the planet are yet undiscovered, are untapped, because people have been told, oh, that thing, you'll never make any money with that. That's a waste of your time. You need to follow the money. Right? How different would the world be if everyone was doing what they love? Think about that. Right? Instead of doing what we have to do if we weren't all stuck in survival mode. Right? But the day is here. That day is here. Right? The energy is now here to support us following our passion. Right? And reconnecting those aspects of ourselves that were previously disconnected. Right? So you now bring all these aspects of yourself to the table with love and acceptance of yourself, which frees your inner child, your inner rock star, your inner artist, your inner astronaut, right? Your inner, your master organizer and strategist, right? Those aspects of yourself are freed when you do this healing work, okay? In particular, anything quantum, okay, going into the quantum and bringing these aspects of yourself together, okay, like we talked about in that video, Heal Quantum Versions of Yourself. Check it out if you haven't already, okay. um but those versions of yourself were previously existing under a cloudy haze of shame, guilt, unresolved trauma, all of these things which we call energy blockages. Okay? So most of us, give me some fire in the chat if this resonates with you. Most of us have some version of ourselves in our mind, somewhere deep within us, that we just can't seem to bring to the surface. This, person that always speaks their mind, a person that always has like a witty joke, this version of ourselves that always knows what to do, this version of ourselves that has a lot more energy and is able, to accomplish all these tasks, right? Hey, Ashley, thank you so much for being in the chat. Greetings, greetings, greetings. But most of us have this awesome version of ourselves somewhere in our mind that we just can't seem to bring to the surface. Give me some fire in the chat if that resonates, if that makes sense. It's this version of ourselves that just has things figured out, this version of ourselves that doesn't hesitate, that doesn't have any fear, right? That's adventurous, that's still curious about life, that's brave, that's courageous, right? That stands up for ourselves or stands up for others, that knows how to connect with people more deeply, more lovingly. A part of us that's more generous, right? We can see in our mind's eye, there's a version of ourselves, but we just can't seem to bring that to the surface. Why not? Because unresolved trauma is standing between you and that version of yourself. Okay? So not only is that unresolved trauma preventing you from showing that version of yourself to other people, unresolved trauma prevents you from being able to see yourself in your full glory. Okay? You're unable to clearly see all of who you are, to see the brightness of your light, the beauty of your soul. You're unable to see that for yourself because of unresolved trauma. Okay, it's like an invisible wall, okay, or like a wall of cloudiness, this haze. Okay, so I'm going to give you all an example. So I've been talking about quantum healing a lot lately, bringing together those fragmented versions of yourself. And I've been doing some new work for myself. What I shared with you all on YouTube was very basic. It was just like, a starting point. Okay. And I'll be sharing more later on a paid platform, which I'll be having announcements about within a few months. Okay. But we'll get into more advanced work. But I'm going to share with you some benefits of the advanced work that I've been doing as well, which I started with the basic work. Okay. So I'm going to tell y'all, and this is, it's personal, but I want to share. Okay. Because if we can't, make this real for each other, like, why are we here? Okay. So I've been doing all this, this quantum healing work on myself, right? To bring together these old aspects of myself that, may have been abandoned at different points in my life. Okay. So, I started this a while back. I want to say I started a new round of it in March, early March. And I also was doing some detoxing at the same time. Okay. Some herbal detoxing. Drinking these herbs that help you cleanse your system. Okay. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because whenever you're doing some work that's spiritual, it's always important to have a physical representation of that. Okay. You want to do something in the physical, create some physical reflection of what you're doing in the spiritual world. Okay. If that makes sense to you, if you've experienced the magic of matching an aspect in the physical to what you have going on in the spiritual world, give me some fire in the chat. Give me some fire in the chat. When y'all think about this, the visual representation of this is the yin and yang symbol. Okay, you want to balance out what you're doing in the spiritual world with creating a reflection of this in the physical. Okay, and there's so many ways of doing it. But what I did physically to match the spiritual quantum healing work for myself, uncovering these old versions of myself, I'm doing a detox in the physical, okay? Because you're getting rid of all these old layers of toxins, old food. You're getting rid of stuff, okay? And it gives you greater access to your spiritual self, okay? Maybe I could do a video on that. That would be a cool video to give more details about how that works. But thank you for the confirmation in the chat. Yes, people are saying yes, this is real. Okay, so guys, I started doing this quantum healing work early March. On March 11th, my maternal grandmother passed. Okay, now my maternal grandmother is like a spiritual mother to me. Okay, she is a soul fragment for me. Okay, and yes, I'm saying is because she is very much still with me. I can feel her with me and around me all the time. Okay, so that happened on March 11th. I was still doing my quantum healing work, and this is why there's been some Tuesdays that I haven't come on here and gone live because I've just been dealing with that. That was very, very hard for me losing her, but I was still doing the quantum healing work and doing and I've got some soul family and friends that are doing it with me. I can't tell y'all how powerful it is to have people that envision your dreams with you, to have manifestation partners in your life. It is one of the most powerful things you can do, is have manifestation partners in your life. If you know, you know. But we buried my grandmother on the 29th of March. And then this past week, I had another very, very close family member. I won't say who, just for purposes of their privacy, but an extremely close family member battling something very, very serious. Okay, very, very serious, very serious health issue. Okay. And when this started going down last week was the first week that I just kind of felt myself like coming back to life after having left my grandmother, losing my grandmother. It was the first week that I started saying, oh yeah, this is what I was feeling. This is what I was thinking. This is what I was planning before my Medea died. That's what we call her, Medea, right? So those type of things were just starting to come back to the forefront of my mind. I was starting to be able to get back on track, and then boom, here goes this other really huge thing that's just I cannot believe this is happening. Okay. I was absolutely not ready to take on anything else really big. However, I've noticed something, y'all, that I directly attribute to my quantum healing work. And y'all start getting your questions ready in case you have questions at the end, because we're about to close out here. But what I notice from my quantum healing work is that as I have gone through that first tragedy of losing my grandmother, and then gotten hit with this second situation that's another life-threatening situation, I noticed myself being able to reach back and grab. Now, this is something I'm doing consciously. I'm able to go back and reach out and grab this. It's kind of like a robotic kind of compartmentalization that used to be a very unhealthy thing for me. Now, when I say very unhealthy, I mean very unhealthy, okay? I've shared with you guys before that I'm a widow. So I raised my children by myself for the majority of their upbringing. And during those years, I just was not dealing with stuff. I was like a master compartmentalizer. But some of those compartments were housing some very ugly trauma that just needed to be, you know, needed to be healed. Okay. But now that I've healed the trauma, right, to a much, much greater degree, and I'm saying to a greater degree because healing is it's a constant journey. I don't know if I don't know if there's this, I'm not sure if there's a such thing as 100% healing. I don't know. We're always healing. We're hitting the same issues at higher, higher, higher levels all the time as we spiral upwards into ascension, right? So that thing that used to be that ability of mine that used to be very unhealthy for me that I was able to compartmentalize and just keep going and just power through and just keep working and doing no matter what was bothering me. That used to be an unhealthy thing for me. But now, since I've gone back and reached out to that version of single mom Pangea and embraced her, right? Embraced her with love and acceptance and forgiveness. I've extended that to her. Now that is reciprocal, that she extends to me that ability to compartmentalize in a healthy way. You guys, I've been getting stuff done. I've been handling my business while being real with myself about, man, this is a scary situation that we are facing and that I'm supporting my family member through. I mean, it's not an easy thing. It's not a light thing. However, I'm still able to mentally organize. I'm still able to physically get things done that I need to get done and be real with myself about my emotions in the process. Right? I mean, it's beautiful. That old version of compartmentalization was like based on denial, right? It was based on, hiding that I was hurting, okay? But now I don't have to do that. That old version of me is giving me this ability to like go under, like robot. I am Pangea. How can I help you today? Right? Give me some hearts in the chat if this makes sense to you. It's allowing me to have my hours of the day that I'm in robot mode and doing what I have to do. But I'm also being real with myself about my feelings because I now know when to stop, to rest, to give a break, how to support myself with healthy food, with enough sleep, right? I know how to pay attention to my body. I'm listening to my body when my body's saying, "Oh, you don't need to eat that. You need to drink this." Right? Don't keep going. Don't power through. Take a break here. Like take a 45-minute cat nap. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're weak. It don't mean you're a punk. Right? That's how I used to talk to myself in my mind. Very unhealthily. Very unhealthily. Okay. If this makes sense, give me some fire in the chat. Okay. But I noticed since I've been doing that quantum healing work, like, man, I can like look through this category of selves like it's like a Rolodex, this version of me, that version of me. Oh, boom, there's a version of me I need. It's the robot, right? It's the I am robot version. Like I need to call on that aspect right now, but still handle myself with love, still giving myself grace, still giving myself forgiveness, and if there's something that I need to moderate, to modify in my schedule for the day, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to change my plans that I need to do for the day and just, keep going. Right. So this, you guys, I realized like, man, I'm really not experiencing myself in this linear fashion anymore, where it's like, okay, the only version of me that I have to call upon is this version of me today that's in this very, this in this closed in box, and I'm not, able to see outside of these blinders. I'm not experiencing that anymore, right? I'm experiencing all, the loveliness of all these different versions of me, right? So, you guys, I just want to share this with you today. If you have questions, please put your questions in the chat, okay? But I just really wanted to make sure. Thank you for all the support in the chat. I'm glad this is hitting for you guys. But I just wanted to share with you all that listen, this is available for y'all. This is available for you all today, okay? When you embrace those former versions of yourself with love, with grace, with acceptance, with forgiveness, you get a gift back, okay? You get a gift back. You get to experience the positive aspects of that version of yourself that you once may have turned your back on. That positive version of yourself that, became clouded in darkness because of all of these layers of pain and trauma and stuff that we refuse to acknowledge. So extend yourself some healing, some loving vibes, some peaceful frequencies. I'm going to recommend 3 different videos. 2 of them, the first 2 I've already mentioned. One of them was my first video I ever put on YouTube, which was Who is Your Highest Self? Pew, pew, pew. That was a good one. I'm still very proud of that video. I was nervous, you guys, but it was good. It came out really good. There were some great points in that video. The second one is Heal Quantum Versions of Yourself, which it was just a few weeks ago. And the third one is how to send friends good energy or send friends good energy. This is that's an older video too. It's not under the lives, it's just under videos. But send friends good energy. That is a good one too. And that exercise where you're I'm showing you how to envision them, happy and healthy and whole. You can put yourself, you can do that visualization for yourself as well. Okay. These are all these videos are going to show you these different ways of extending this kindness and this grace and this acceptance to all these past versions of yourself so that you get full access to yourself. There's a comment here. Thank you for sharing this. Such a good reminder that nothing is in isolation. What didn't work well before, that I judged before, can have a purpose today. What a beautiful integration. Yes. Thank you. What a beautiful message. Thank you, Angie. Awesome. Love you all. Thank you all so much for this time today. I don't see any questions coming in, so we'll go ahead and end. Thank you all so much for your love and your support week after week. Thank you for your prayers for my family and for myself. And I will see you all soon. Hopefully next Tuesday. Everything is tentative right now. But I do want to connect with you all again soon. Peace and love.